Hey guys, Billy Funk here, your Extreme Networker. I thought I would talk to you really quickly about the power of a three-way call, how to do a three-way call, and why you should do a three-way call. So here's my philosophy on, and not just mine, a lot of other successful networkers, their philosophy behind the three-way call. Ignorance is bliss in the beginning, and I call it learning while you're earning. And if I get started with a company, I actually don't want to know all the information. Because the more information you know, the more tendency you have to talk about it. And the people that you talk to are most likely not going to look at you as an expert on something when you just get started into a company and into a business. So you need that third party, you need that source that's an expert, and it works so beautifully if you know how to do it properly. So when I expose somebody, invite somebody to take a look at an opportunity, my next step is to get them on a call with an expert. And how do I do this? Well, let's say I'm prospecting my buddy John, and John just took a look at a network marketing company. He watched a sizzle video. I got back on the phone with him. I followed up with him, and I've already told an upline inside of my company that there's a good chance I'm gonna have a three-way call for you. And I let him know that it was going to happen in the next 15 minutes. I set up a time. I called back John and I started asking questions. What did you like best? You always want to talk about what they like best about the company video, the opportunity video, whatever tools or videos that you sent them. Ask them what do they like best. The next step is for me to get them on the phone with an upline. And so if I'm talking to John and John's got a couple of questions or John's interested and he's somewhat excited, I'm going to talk about that upline sponsor. I'm going to talk about somebody that's above me that's having a lot of success. I'm going to say, John, man, you would really get along with this guy David. This guy David's super successful. He's been around the game for a long time. Man, he really knows this business. I think the two of you would get along really, really well. Hey, do you got a minute? Let me see if David's available. You got 1 minute? 1 minute, John? It's really hard for somebody to say no to that. If you want to take it to another level, you can literally say to somebody, you got a second? Hey, you got 1 second. When was the last time somebody asked you, do you have a second? And it was literally 1 second. That never happens. And so people are already, preconditioned to saying yes to that because everybody's got a second. Everybody's got a minute. And so what do I do next? Well, sometimes I don't even wait for John to answer. I'll just hop right over. I'll grab David and I'll say, hey, David, I got John on the phone. He is an entrepreneur, was looking to make some extra money. He watched the company video, and I believe he's got a couple of questions. You got a minute? And David says, yeah, absolutely. So I click back over on my phone and I say, hey, John, you won't believe it. I actually got David on the phone right now. David's super, like I was telling you before, John, David's super successful inside this company. He's been around this business for a long time. He's got all the answers, and he's absolutely a pleasure to work with. He's a great leader. And David, really quick, this is John. John and I have known each other for the past few years. John does A, B, and C right now. He's looking to make some additional income. He watched the video. I think John's got a couple of questions, but I thought I would, pair the two of you together because I think you guys are going to get along really well. John, this is David. David, this is John, and I hit mute. And I take notes mentally and also I take notes physically because two things are going to happen. I'm going to actually absorb what David says if I do those three-way calls enough. And what happens in this process is even if you have the same exact answers that David has, okay, and you tell that to John, it's going to be so much more powerful if you let David tell those answers because you just build David up. You just leverage the fact that you and John know each other. John likes you, John trusts you, and so you're saying to John, hey, this is an expert. You know me, you like me, you trust me. Well, here's a guy who's more successful than I am. Here's a guy who's got all the answers. Okay, I want you to listen to him. And it's going to be so much more powerful coming out of David's mouth versus yours. The other thing that happens is during that conversation, David is going to edify you. Just like you edified him on the beginning of that conversation, David's going to edify you and say, hey, John, Billy is an absolutely awesome leader. I don't think you could pick a better person to run with on the team. I think that you guys will work really well together. Billy's building a big business right now, and he's somebody that's up and coming inside this company. So David's going to edify you back and make it super comfortable and exciting for John to join your team. And so this makes so much sense when you truly get it. The other thing that this does is that this allows John to realize it's not just you that's doing the business. There's somebody else that's successful. There's somebody else that's on your team, and you guys are truly working together. That's the power behind the three-way call. And if you were above me inside of an opportunity that I ran with, you would know that for the first week or 14 days, I probably threw you on a lot of three-way calls, and all of a sudden your phone stopped ringing from me. I've had this happen before, and my upline would call me and say, "Billy, is everything okay?" And I would say, "Yeah, everything's great. I don't have time to talk right now, David. John's putting me on three-way calls, and I got a team that's full of people that are bringing prospects to the table." You say, "Okay, cool. Let me know when we need help." And so I just duplicated myself. The three-way call is very easy to duplicate because what happens is when you get that language down, when you do enough three-way calls with somebody above you, you're going to find the leaders that want to do that to you as well. And so that process will start duplicating and your team will start doing that as well. It's a very simple concept and very simple tool. It's one of the most powerful tools that I keep in my back pocket. The three-way call, you should learn how to do this properly. And once you do, you can build a business with anything. You could really, really blow something up in a very short amount of time. And I encourage you to use three-way calls properly, effectively, and as often as possible. So this is Billy Funk, your Extreme Networker, saying do some three-way calls, guys. I'll see you next time.